Hi, and welcome to Accounting 1115, which is computerized accounting. We are going to be doing chapter 4 today. And if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I will actually do case 1 with you. So we'll actually go through the steps of completing your homework assignment for chapter 4, case 1. Okay. So if you see up here on the blackboard, we have what our objective is, what our assignment is, and then the links to be able to access your assignments and the chapters in your textbook. I do actually have some instructional videos already out there, and these are from the Intuit website. So these are some pretty good websites, videos, to watch. They do help you show you how to do things. So just remember your homework assignment for case 1 and case 2, is due September 13th. All right. We are going to be doing the textbook using test drive mode. And then at the end of the chapter, then I will go and I will pull up our chapter 4 case 1 assignment, and I'll actually complete that in my company so you can see how to do each step. And I'll actually troubleshoot with you, and I'll kind of show you some tips and tricks. I can't talk today. Some tips and tricks. So our learning objectives is we should be able to add new service, product, and customer. Should be able to record a sales receipt, record an invoice for services rendered on account, record an invoice for products sold on account, record cash receipts, deposit payments received on account, and then of course prepare our trial balance and our transaction detail by account reports. So chapter 4, obviously we're focusing on recording operating activities, specifically sales and cash receipts. Now in chapter 3, you modified your company settings. You added new accounts to the chart of accounts. You added beginning balances where appropriate. You added customers, vendors, products, and services, and closed the opening balance equity accounts. So in this chapter, we will add some operating activities like sales receipts, invoices, and cash receipts. And specifically, you will be recording operating activities such as adding new services, new products, new customers, new sales receipt, new invoices, new cash receipts to the test drive company. So at the end of the chapter, we'll perform some of the same tasks completed on our test drive company when we go to do our actual case that I've assigned to you. All right, so here we are in test drive mode. Now I know the book talks about those water sports, but the test drive mode that I have available for us to use is still Craig's Design and Landscape Services. Okay, so in this section, we're going to talk about how to add new services, products, and customers. So to add new services and products, we access the product and service section using the gear icon, okay? And to add customers, we'll use the customers menu. All right. So we can come over here to customers and add customers this way. There's multiple ways you can actually access that to do it. So there's multiple ways. And I'll show you multiple ways to do it too. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is go in to our gear icon and then come down and click products and services. All right. And we want to add new. So we're adding new. So we get to click on our green new button. And right now we're going to add a service. So you come down here where it says service. All right. So what type of service? Okay, well, we're going to add a cleaning service. And just kind of type in the word cleaning. You come down here for a category, and you would select something like, whatever you want to on your category. We're not really doing categories in our own company, so I'm not really worried about it. But we do want to make sure we set our sales price. Okay, so in here, we're going to put in the 500 in the sales price rate text box. And the income account we want to use, well, it's going to be services. Okay, services. Okay. And then we can click Save and Close. But we're going to add another one. We're going to actually add some inventory. So let's click Save and New. Oh, wait, but it said service. We want to actually add a product. So we can come over here and click Change Type. And now we can click Inventory to add a product. Okay, so we know how to add a product. We've done this. We did this when we were doing our company setup. So pretty easy, you know. So you just really fill in the information. Okay, you want to put in a name, the quantity on hand. We're going to start out with 0, and you can just put today's date when it comes to test drive mode. But when we're doing our assignment, you know, so you'll pay attention to the date it tells you on your assignment. All right, so again, inventory asset. This is telling QuickBooks that this item initially goes on your books as an inventory asset. All right, so when we go to purchase this inventory item, all right, it's going to debit inventory asset account and then credit whatever form of payment, whether it's cash or on account. Okay, you can even add a description, but most importantly, we need to set the sales price. Okay, so set a sales price, and then we want to, what income account do we want to use? Okay, so usually when you're selling an item, you want to use the income account sales, or we called it in financial accounting revenue account, your revenue account sales. So when it's a service that we're providing, we usually use a service account, like, you know, fees earned or service income account. When we're selling actual merchandise, our inventory, we want to use the revenue or income account sales. So we want to use sales. Okay. Now we come down here, because if you remember in financial accounting, when we track, you know, the sale of merchandise, we also track the cost of those goods. All right. So remember if you took financial accounting 1, which you should have as a prereq for this class, so I really hope everybody remembers this. When we switched over and became a merchandising business, we learned that every time we sell an item, it's a 4-sided entry because we use that perpetual inventory system, and QuickBooks uses a perpetual inventory system because remember, we turned track inventory on, so that created a perpetual inventory system. So it's a 4-sided entry. All right. The sale transaction is going to hopefully debit cash and then credit your revenue account sales. All right. And it's going to credit it at the sales price, $22.50. All right. Now that's 2 sides of the entry. The other 2, remember when we bought the inventory item, we had it debit our inventory asset account. Okay. To put it into our inventory, our system. So it's going to debit our inventory asset account. So when we go to sell it, all right, we debit our cost of goods sold expense account and then credit our inventory asset account, reducing our inventory on hand. All right. And we do this at the actual cost. Okay, at the actual cost. And the actual cost was $1,800. Okay. This is the sale price, and this is the actual cost. All right. So when we purchased it for $1,800, and it went into our inventory asset account for $1,800. We debited our inventory asset account for $1,800. Okay. All right. Now, when we go to sell it, it's going to be a 4-sided entry. It's going to start with a debit to cash and a credit to our income account sales for $22.50. Our next set of entries is going to be a debit to our expense account, cost of goods sold for the $1,800, and then it's going to reduce our inventory asset account by crediting our inventory asset account because we no longer have it on hand. So we got to reduce it. So we credit because it's an asset account. All right. So that is why we put this information in, why we select income account and expense account. And again, QuickBooks calls it income. We learned in financial accounting, we learned it as revenue. They are synonymous. They mean the same. Don't get confused, please. Okay. So we can go ahead here and go ahead and just click save and close. I mean, that's about it. We've done services, we've added services, we've added products. I think we're pretty good at that now. I just want to make sure I explained one more time why we select the accounts we do and what's happening to our ledger with these accounts that we're selecting, and reminding you that when we're a merchandising business, our sales transactions become 4-sided entries, especially if we're using perpetual inventory system. All right. So that's it for adding products and services. So let's talk about what we do to add a customer. Okay. So we haven't really added a lot of customers, not in like detail customers. Okay. So we can come down here and we go over here to different tabs. We see one that's already highlighted, which is sales. Why? Because we're in products and services. So you can come over here and click customers, or you just come up here and click customers. All right. So there's multiple ways. There's always multiple ways. Always multiple ways. All right. So we're going to add a new customer. All right. So let's come over here and click on new customer. Okay. So here we have fields to fill out. So you will fill this out based on the information given to you in your homework assignment. Okay. So you would start again by typing in their name. So we can come up here and we'll do James. And then in the last name, we'll put Rogers. Now, you also can come over here and put in the company name. So the company name is Performance Rentals. So with that said, let's click on customer display name. We can select 3 different options. We can have it displayed as the company name, or we can have it displayed as the owner's name. And we have 2 options of how to display. So and what is the core purpose of this? What is significant of this? Well, if we were to, when we go to print out an invoice, or even if we go to like maybe issue a payment to this customer, the display name is what we'll print on the invoice, and the display name is what we'll print on a check if we were to print a check to this customer to pay them. So that's why it's important to select the proper display name. You also want to come over here, and if they provide you with email, you want to put in your email, as well as any phone numbers. You want to come down here and put in any addresses. Don't want to click on that. Any addresses. Okay. Any notes or anything you want to like, if you want to have like specific payments and terms set up for this customer, you can do that. You can put any additional information that you feel is imperative. If they are a customer that already has a balance with you from like an old account and you want to transfer it over, you can do that right there. So you just go to click save, and then you see the Performance Rentals as a new customer is all set up and ready to go. So it's pretty easy to set up a new customer, not a problem. All right, so let's move on to the next section. Let's talk about sales receipts and invoices. A business uses sales receipts to record sales transactions on a daily basis when payments received at the time that a product or service is delivered. Okay, a sales receipt is different from an invoice. Let's remember that. Receipt and invoice, different things. So when you go to Walmart and you buy your groceries, you pay for it right then and there, and they give you that long receipt. That's what a sales receipt is right there. Okay, so it is literally a receipt to show that you've already paid for your product and service at the time you received your product and services. All right. Well, an invoice is different. Invoices are used to record sales transactions when customers are granted credit terms and given time to pay after the product or service has been delivered. Those are your net 30s. Okay, these are your credit terms. You remember learning in financial accounting that we can extend credit to our customers and allow them to pay us at a later date. So we go ahead and provide them with a product or service. Then we give them an invoice, and that invoice will have the credit terms on there, which will tell them what the due date is. So if the invoice is dated October 1st and your credit terms are net 30, then that invoice you gave them is due by October 30th, 30 days from the date of the invoice. Okay. So the sales receipt is when you receive payment at the time the product and services are rendered. Invoice is when you extend credit to your customer and you allow them to pay you later. In other words, you've already provided them with the product or service, and then you're giving them an invoice to pay you at a later date. So how do we add sales receipts and invoices? All right. So we're going to come up here to our plus new icon. Okay. And under customers, you're going to see a lot of options. Okay. So you're going to see invoice and you're going to see sales receipts. So let's go ahead and click on sales receipt first. Okay. So this is a sales receipt. All right. So there's lots of really good information we can put in here. All right. So we need to select a customer. All right. So you can select from an existing customer. But if the customer that you're sending the sales, you're doing the sales receipt for doesn't exist, you can click add new, and look, that window pops up, and we can now add a customer. So there's multiple ways to add a customer. So if you're in the middle of an invoice or in the middle of a receipt and you realize that customer is not in the system, you don't have to back all the way out and go in and add a customer and then go back in. No, you can do it straight from the sales receipt or even the invoice screen. So you would basically type in the name. Okay. And of course, you can add an address if you want to add an address. Okay, and just click save. Okay, so we see their information is popped up here. All right, now you would change the sales receipt to the date of the actual sales receipt. So you could change that to whatever date it is. And so you will do that for your homework assignment. All right, now here's where you're going to add how they paid you. Did they pay you in cash, check, credit card? So you can add check. They paid you in check. You can add in the check number. Okay. All right, now this is important. Okay. You want it to go to undeposited funds. Okay. And the book may say payments to deposit or undeposited funds. Okay. But I believe we're going to have them set up for our case companies to go to undeposited funds. Now, what does that mean? That it means it's going to sit in a holding account until the money is actually taken to the bank. All right. So think about that for a minute when you're actually doing transactions. So if you're a brick and mortar store and you're actually doing transactions and you're taking in cash and checks, right? Well, it's not, at the moment you take it in, it's not hitting your bank account. It doesn't hit your bank account until you take the money and deposit it to the bank. So what we have set up here in QuickBooks is we have opportunity to put it to this holding account on deposited funds. It is an asset account. Okay, it is an asset account, so it's still showing up as an asset, but it's not going to show up in your checking account or your cash account. Okay, it's going to sit in undeposited funds until we take the money to the bank and we record the deposit. Okay. Next, we're going to add the items that were on the sales receipt. What did we sell them? What did we sell them? So you would come over here and you would pick something. Pick whatever it is you sold them. Okay, and put it on the sales receipt. Obviously, you can, every time I click a line, another line is added, right? So, you would just basically pick items, whether it's a product or a service, right? Okay. So, and once you got everything completed, then you click save and send, and it would send the receipt, or you can click save and new or save and close. You can also do print preview. So we can do print preview to see what it would look like. Here we go. And that would be the sales receipt that you would print out to give your customer. Okay. All right. So that is it. That is easy peasy how we do a sales receipt. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is an invoice. How do we do an invoice? Okay. So we come up here and click on the plus new and click on invoice. It looks really similar, doesn't it? It looks really similar. It is actually almost identical. The only difference is on a sales receipt, we have the method of payment we received. On an invoice, we've not received payment yet. So there's nowhere to put to undeposited funds. Okay. There's no select check or cash or credit card. And there's no select undeposited funds. Why? Because we haven't received payment yet. So that's really the only difference. Okay. So you still come over here and select your customer. Okay. Here you can check. This is different. This is not on the sales receipt, but this is on the invoice. So we have our terms. What are your terms? Do you have a net 10, net 15, net 30, or net 60? Now notice what happens. So the invoice date, we'll just say is today's date, is the invoice date. Now look what happens to the due date when I change the terms. It changes the due date, doesn't it? Yes. All right. So your terms determines the due date when payment is due for this invoice. Okay. And again, all you would do is come down here to product or services, and you would select what products and services is being sold to this customer. Okay. You can click print. Come over here to get preview, and you can print the invoice. If you have an email address for them, you can save and send, and it'll automatically email it to your customer. Okay. So we save and exit out. Okay. That is it. That is it. That's pretty easy. So we're going to do this again. We're going to do this again and again and again and again when we go to do our actual case for chapter 4. Next, we're going to talk about cash receipts. All right. So in QuickBooks, the concept of cash receipts is referred to as receiving payments. Okay, we receive payments. It's a little different from a sales receipt. All right. So what is the difference? All right. What you're doing is you're receiving a payment from a customer. So you can receive. So what's happening is in QuickBooks, cash receipt means that the customer has paid their bill, their invoice. So we just invoiced a customer. All right. So when you invoice the customer, it automatically creates a receivable for that customer. Okay. So let's come over here. Let's look what that looks like. Let's go over here to our customers. Okay. So here we have a list of customers, and you can see they have an opening balance. Okay. And over here we can click on receive payment. You click on receive payment. All right. And we can show that, hey, this outstanding invoice we received payment for. All right. And we would fill in what was our method of payment, and it would go to undeposited funds again. I tell you, so I like to go to undeposited funds until we take the money to the bank. All right. So let's see what happens when we click save and close. All right. Well, now they have a zero balance because we've showed that they received payment. Okay. All right. So that's one way we can do it. So the customer, so that's the purpose of cash receipt. The customer's coming in and paying their bill. They're paying their bill. That's what cash receipt means. They're coming in and paying their bill. So that's one way. That is one way we can do it. We can go into our customers and look at our list of customers and see like, oh, it was Amy's Bird Sanctuary and they were coming in to pay their outstanding balance. So we just clicked on receive payment, right? But there's always more than one way. There's always more than one way, right? So here's another way. Plus new. And we're going to click on receive payment. Okay, receive payment. All right, so here we want to select another customer. All right. I'm trying to find one that had a balance. Maybe. There we go. All right, so you would put in the payment date, you would put in the method of payment, and you want it to go to undeposited funds. Okay. All right, so, and then you would come over here and you would enter in the amount of payment received. We received $81. Okay. And then you would just click save and close. And all that did there is it says, okay, invoice number 1022 from Jeff Jalopes has been paid. So we click save and close. Now it's been paid. So we received payment. Okay. All right. So that is it. So there's two ways to do it. You can come up here to plus new and go that way, or you can come over here to your list of customers and look for it this way. All right. So, all right. Next thing we're going to do, all that money we put into undeposited funds, let's create a bank deposit for it. How do we do that? I'm going to go to the plus new. We're going to come over to other and then click bank deposit. All right. So we have all this money that we received payment for. So we have a sales receipt. We have the payment we received from Jeff Jalopes and Amy's Bird Sanctuary, as well as a few payments we received back in August. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is make sure we select the correct account that we want the money deposited to. All right. So we're going to deposit this money to our checking account. Okay. We're going to make sure we select the correct date that it went to the bank. Okay. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to select the items that we're actually taking to the bank. All right. That we're actually taking to the bank. So if not everything went to the bank, so let's say only the items from August are going to go to the bank. Okay. Or we can just select everything's going to go to the bank. Right. So what's going to happen is it's going to take these items from undeposited funds and it's going to post it to your checking account or your cash account. Okay. And all you have to do now is just click Save and Close. And you've now recorded your bank deposit. You've now recorded your bank deposit. So you've now increased your checking account balance on your ledger because you've taken that money and you've deposited it to your bank account. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get started. And let's go ahead and do our Chapter 4, Case 1. Okay, so here you see my Blackboard screen. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and click on my Assignment 2 folder, and I'm going to open up my Chapter 4, Case 1 assignment. Okay, so as we see here. All right, and then next what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my company in QuickBooks. All right. All right, so here we see my Case 1 company. All right, so we're getting ready to do our Case 1 from Chapter 4. And we're going to add we're going to do some sales and cash receipts, some invoicing. We're going to basically do what we just learned using our test drive, and we're going to apply it to our company. All right, so the first thing it wants us to do is going to have us add a new customer. So we know there's multiple ways we can add a new customer. So I'm going to come over here to sales, and we'll go down here to customer. This is the, so we're going to click on new customer. All right, and the customer we're going to add is Sarah Hay. So her name is Sarah. The company name is going to be Hey Hey Surf. The display name, we're going to keep it as Sarah Hay. And we're going to scroll down to address. And we're going to put in the address of 230 Beachway. That's going to be La Jolla, California. And they gave us a zip code 90239. All right, so that's all the information they gave us. We're going to go ahead and click Save. And here we see Sarah and her company. Go back to customers, and now we see them right here. Okay. All right. Next, it wants us to add a new service. So we know we've got to go up here to our gear icon, click on Products and Services. And we're going to click on New, and we're going to click on Service. The service we're going to add is Tune-Up. It doesn't have a selected category. We don't really have any categories set up, so that's fine. We're not going to do that. The book shows us the option that you can do that. We're not going to worry about that. All right. So, but we are going to put in our rate of $85, and we are going to make sure we're using the income account services. Okay. All right. So once that's done, you can click Save and New. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to add is a product. So remember, we're not doing that as a service. We're doing a product. So we can click Change Type and click Inventory. All right. So the item we're going to add is called Fred Rubble. All right. So initial quantity on hand is 0. And the date, January 1st, 2024. Okay. Remember, anything with an asterisk, we have to fill out. Okay. So I'm just basically using the information on the book. Okay. Now we want to make sure we have the inventory asset account selected. So come down here to sales price. The sales price is $950. And I want us to change the income account. I want it to say sales. Okay, not sales or product. I just want it to say sales. The cost of this item is $600. And we want to make sure the expense account is cost of goods sold. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and click Save and Close because we're done now. So we added a new service, a tune-up service, and we added a new product, the Fred Rubble. Now we don't have any on hand, but we already entered the item into our inventory. So when we go to purchase them, it'll already be added to our inventory. We won't have to add them at the time. So going to step 4. Step 4 says we're going to record a sales receipt. Remember, a sales receipt is when we sell products or services, and payment is rendered at the time that the product or service is provided. So there's no like net terms or no credit terms. Okay, so sales receipt means we provide them with a product and they pay us immediately. So how do we do that? Come into the plus new, under customers, scroll down, sales receipt. All right, now it's already numbered. It's going to automatically assign a number to it. You don't have to worry about that. So it says to recording the sales receipt on January 3rd. So we're going to come over here to the date and we're going to change it to January 3rd. All right, January 3rd. The customer is Blondie's Boards. All right, so what did Blondie's Boards do? They bought some stuff from it. All right, so we're going to need to fill out our payment method. The payment method was check reference number 893. We want to deposit it to undeposited funds. All right, so if we're looking here and we do not see undeposited funds, okay. Sometimes it may be named something different, so we can kind of look. So we see, payments to deposits. Okay. All right. I told you it could be one or the other, payments to deposits or undeposited funds. All right. This is what I want you to do. We're going to go ahead and exit out. We're going to exit out. Yes, we want to leave without saving. All right. Why? We're going to go to our chart of accounts. And we're going to look for that asset account, payments to deposits, because see, it's an undeposited fund, but I just want to change the name of it. I want to change the name of it. So we're going to come over here, click on the drop down menu and click edit. And all I'm going to do is change the name to undeposited funds. Okay. Your case, your company may have this account set up as undeposited funds. If it doesn't, and it has it set to payments to deposit, you can change it. All right. You can change it. Okay. So now it should say, excuse me, undeposited funds as the name. All right. So let's go back up here to plus new. Click on sales receipt. All right. So we're going to go ahead and click Blondie's Boards, change the date to January 3rd. Choose the payment method, check, using reference number 893. Now, you can come down here and select undeposited funds. Okay. All right. Now, what did they buy? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is click on products and services, and notice a drop-down menu occurs, and in the drop-down menu is everything that we have entered as a product or a service. Okay, so the item that we sold is we wrote 15, and we sold them 2. Now look what happens when I click on here. It tells you automatically how many you have on hand. So I know I have 10 on hand, and I'm selling to Blondie's Boards 2 of them. Okay. All right, so once that's done, we can go ahead and click Save and Close. All right, so we've created a sales receipt, and we've deposited, and we put that money to undeposited funds. All right, so when we go to create our bank deposit, we'll take it from the undeposited funds and post it to our checking account. Okay. All right, let's go to step 5. Step 5, we're recording an invoice. So again, it's plus new. Come down here under customers and click on invoice. All right, it looks similar, but there's a few differences. Okay. Now, yes, invoice is going to look a little different than what we saw in test drive mode. Okay. All right. It does look a little different. There's been some updates. It happens. It's okay. Okay. You know what we can do? Click old layout. And there we go. Okay. All right. So if you want it to look like it did when I was doing test drive mode, you can click old layout. Okay. Or if you like it, if you want to try the new invoice, you can click on that and say, try new invoice. All right. It's your choice. I'll go back to try new invoice. You can see how you can switch back and forth. All right. So this is new. This is the new invoice. This is the new layout. All right. So if you want it to look like my screen, you just click on old layout and you switch. You can see it. You don't have to fill anything out, and it'll just take you to the old format. Okay. I wanted to show you guys that, so you don't click on it and panic. Why does it look so different? I'm so confused. Just switch to old layout if you want to. All right, it's fine, totally fine. All right, so step 5, we're going to record an invoice. So immediately, I want to go ahead and change the invoice date to the 4th. Okay, to the 4th. All right. The customer is Sarah Hay. Because the terms are net 30, so we can leave that. All right, so we provided a service and a product. So the service we provided is a tune-up. So we did a tune-up for her. So we come down here, scroll on tune-up, click on quantity, change it to 2. And then the product, we sold 1 product. The product we sold was the water hog. We looked for the water hog, and we sold a quantity of 1. We leave that as 1. All right. So this is our invoice. So what we do now, because again, an invoice, what is that? Now remember, an invoice means that we're providing them the product and the service, but allowing us to pay us at a later date. So we chose the terms net 30. So that means 30 days from the invoice date, payment is due on this invoice. So you would either print it, you would send it to them either by mail or email, either way. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and click Save and Close, showing that our invoice is now saved. All right, we're ready to go on to step number 6. Now we're going to record a cash payment received. Okay, cash payment received. All right. So, like I said, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can go into sales, go to customers, all right, and click receive payment. All right. Or you can come up here to plus new and click receive payment. So we're going to do it this way. I went to plus new and clicked receive payment. All right, we're going to record a new cash payment received on the 5th. So we'll go ahead and change the date to the 5th. And the customer that's paying us is Blondie's Boards. All right, so we see here, there's only 1 receivable for this customer, and it's the receivable that we entered with journal entry number 1. Let's see that right here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and check that box to show that we are going to receive that amount. That's the amount we received. All right, now all we need to do is fill in the payment method. So we received it via check, reference number 984. All right, and we want to make sure that it's going to undeposited funds. So we have to change that and to undeposited funds. That's where we're going to deposit it to, because we haven't taken the money to the bank. So it's going to sit in undeposited funds until we take the money to the bank. Okay. So here we can go ahead and click Save and Close. Now, look what happened. Blondie's Boards no longer has an open balance. We no longer have an open balance. Okay, so we have recorded a sales receipt, an invoice, and a cash receipt. All right, so now let's record a deposit. How do we record a deposit? All right, remember, go back to plus new, go to other, and click on bank deposit. Now all the items that we have put to undeposited funds should be showing up, and it should only be 2 items. All right, it should be both of them are Blondie's Boards, because Blondie's Boards came in, bought some items, paid us at the same time we, so it was a sales receipt, right? We see the sales receipt, and then they also came in and they paid us what they owed us. They had an outstanding balance of $5,000. All right. So we're going to record the deposit. So we're going to change the date to the 8th. We're going to change it to checking. Okay, make sure you change it to checking account. And what we're taking to the bank is the older, which is the one from the 3rd. That's what we're going to take to the bank. All right. All right. So the $5,000 is not ready to go to the bank yet, but the $1,300 is. And that's what's related to the sales receipt that we received. All right, that's it. That's all we do. We're not going to add anything else to it. We're just recording that deposit. All right, and you click save and close. All right, and now that money has been posted to our checking account because we just said we took it to the bank. So now we're on step 8. We're ready to do our reports. So I'm here to reports. Click on trial balance. All right, put in our date. All right, now our date criteria is going to change. All right, we're going to go ahead and do a whole month because we started doing transactions in January, didn't we? So it's just easier to just pull the whole month. All right, that's what I want y'all to do is just pull the whole month. So we're going to go from December to January. Run report. All right, now we should be able to compare this to the figure 4.22 in your homework assignment to make sure everything looks good. All right, we want to look at it line by line, line by line. All right, to make sure everything's balanced. Don't just look at the bottom line. I want us to look line by line. All right, it should be as of January 31st, 2024. All right, so if everything looks good, you're going to export it as PDF, not Excel, PDF, and then you'll upload it as your case 1 homework for chapter 4. All right. Next, we're going to do our transaction by account detail. Now, just like this one, it's been updated, so you can go back and switch to classic view. Okay, and you're going to put in the same date. Oops. And click run report. All right. If your trial balance was accurate, this will be accurate. This gives me more detail so I can really see what you guys are doing and really help you guys troubleshoot too. All right. But I want this also to be exported as PDF and then uploaded as an attachment for your chapter 4 case 1 homework assignment. Now, what happens if you have a difference? If it doesn't balance, if it doesn't match? I'm going back into trial balance, okay? Back into trial balance. All right. See these hyperlinks? These are hyperlinks. When I roll my mouse over at something and it pulls up blue like this, it's called a hyperlink. So if one of your account balances doesn't match within your homework for figure 4.22, you can literally run your mouse over it and click on it. All right. When you do, it gives you a transaction. I'm clicking save. Okay. It gives you the transaction report. All right. So if you're like, I don't even know what that is, I don't even know why I entered it, you can click on it and it takes you to the source document that created that entry. All right. So let's say the date was wrong. You need to change the date. You forgot to change it to 2024. Maybe you accidentally put it as 2023. Okay. So that's how you don't have to go in and do any reversals or anything like that. You can literally just come in here and just change the date and then click save and close. All right. Okay. If you're like, what is this 5,000? Why is it sitting here? I'm confused. You know, well, we received payment, so it's not sitting in accounts receivable anymore. Okay, it's not sitting in accounts receivable, so it's received payment, and it should be sitting in your undeposited funds. All right, but again, what if you messed up on the date? That is how you can change the date. You don't have to make accounts inactive and try and delete that account or delete this account or make things inactive. You can literally come over here, and anything that is a hyperlink like this will take you to the same thing. All right, here's that journal entry. Okay, that we did in chapter 3, right? So it takes you straight back to that source document. All right, straight back to that source document. And you can change what you need to change without having to delete any accounts and try and start over. All right. Okay. All right, that is it, guys. So I'm hoping this really helps you with your homework. I hope this answers all of your questions. If something looks different on your screen, again, you know, let me know and we'll troubleshoot it. We'll figure it out. But I really hope you watch these videos because it really will help you in completing your homework assignment. All right, so as always, if you have any concerns or questions, you're more than welcome to email me and I try to answer you pretty quickly. right, y'all guys have a great week, and I will talk to you next week.